Game on, like that.
There you go. Welcome everyone to today's conversation on positivity. Super excited to have Laura here. She has so much knowledge and expertise on this topic, on the science of it and how it works. So very much looking forward to this. And then in addition to this quick presentation, she's actually got an ICF-approved continuing ed program coming in. So we're excited about that too. Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you and I'll jump in periodically with questions. For those of you listening, you're welcome to type questions in the chat box. I'll monitor that all the way through. There's a Q&A box as well. And then, of course, if you want to and you're brave, let me know you want to. I can unmute you and bring you in live to ask and have a conversation. And I know Laura's going to love that if you're willing to do that. We will record this, or we are recording this, and it will go on the YouTube channel. So Laura, handing it over to you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm here in Napa, California. It's going to be 105 degrees today, so this is the only cool moment of the day. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Happy to be able to have a chance to talk about positivity. It's a topic that means a lot to me. I've been researching it for a lot of years. It's made an absolutely profound difference in my life, and which means it's made a profound difference in the people around me and also with my family and my clients. So one of the things I love, it's just the most amazing way to create meaningful change in your clients. And of course, what's really cool is you have to start with yourself. So it makes a big difference in lives. And, you know, particularly at this time of life, in the middle of this pandemic, positivity and the skills and strategies around that can make a really huge difference in people's lives. So I'm really excited to talk about it. Quick little note on my background. I'm a learning specialist. I have a special education degree. I've been studying neuroscience for 25 years. And what I love about it, even in my teaching practice, was that it allowed me to really help people understand the how and why of everything. And human beings, when they know the how and why and can figure out exactly why they're going to be able to do something and why it's going to work, it really is a powerful combination. And so I'm really excited to help you guys learn about positivity and help transform lives, because that's what it truly does. So the agenda is we're going to start off by defining positivity so you can expand your idea of what positivity is. We're going to look at the research a little bit because I want to build some clarity around it. I want you to really believe and trust what I'm teaching you today, and that you have the confidence to really believe that positivity can make a difference. We're going to talk about the elements, just expanding it even further to round out your concept of positivity. We're going to take a look at how to do it, beginning with the self-awareness of you and your clients, and figuring out why you really want to do it and why it's worthwhile doing. And then we're going to take it a little bit further to see how, if you do it for a while, you can create habits, and how important it is to have positive habits in your life to create long-term change and significant change. And then we're going to understand that positivity, if you can be positive and coach positively, then actually positivity precedes all of the success and happiness that your clients are coming to you for and that you want to help affect the change for in your clients. Okay, so we're going to begin with the definitions. So positivity is it's actually just having the experience of kind of consistent positive emotions. So I want you to just take a moment, if you will, and just think of somebody in your life who is really positive. And just take a moment to bring them completely to mind and feel how they feel to be around, how you feel when you're around them. And when you experience frequent positive emotions, it's not just happiness. The positive emotions that positivity brings around are like joy and happiness, confidence. It's being able to trust. It's having that optimistic view of the world. It's being grateful for the things in your world, having empathy, feeling peaceful, feeling excited, all those positive emotions that create the great chemicals in your body that make you feel like you can almost do anything. And there's one definition I want to read to you, which is from the Urban Dictionary, which is staying positive even when you have good reasons to feel negative. And so I love that definition that you can just stay on an even keel in the ship of all these crazy waters that we're in right now. And so one of the things I want to talk about just briefly before we move on is the difference between happiness and positivity. And happiness is a feeling that we get from little things that happen in our life. It could be from seeing a beautiful flower, from somebody saying, hey, how are you? I've missed you, or a special glance across the room, or feelings of love or tenderness towards somebody. And those feelings make us happy. Positivity is something that's a little bit different than that. Positivity is a state of being. Positivity is like a muscle that you can develop, and it's something that you can create more of in your life and wire into your body. And our goal with positivity is to create more and more useful areas of our brain that bring us the positive feelings and emotions that allow us to create change and be present in our lives the way that we want to be. So to create more and more positivity in your life creates more and more opportunity for happiness to pop out. And you can notice it more when you're in a positive frame of mind. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
You know what came up for me, Laura, when you were saying that? It made me think of a meta program. Because we have our meta programs in terms of motivation. We have our meta programs in terms of focusing on what we're moving toward and being proactive. And it makes me feel like, okay, meta program, a choice, a thought pattern of positivity.
Yeah, that's really true. That's really true. And in my sense, I love that. It's a meta program, but in a way, it's kind of having compassion for a future you and for the future of your clients, in the sense that if you can help them build positivity and build positivity in yourself, you know that later on when you meet challenges or tougher events that happen in your life, you have more and more and more built within to handle everything that comes by your way. Yeah. So, hey. So the biggest thing that positivity does and has been proven to do is that it is the one true method to creating meaningful change to transform lives. It has been proven to do like all kinds of things, such as it's been proven to improve relationships, to improve your health. It's even been proven to extend longevity in your life. It improves success and wealth. It inspires you to be more energetic. It allows you to be more focused. You create more connection in your life. It builds your strength and optimism, expands your thinking, allows you to see more and believe more. And along the way, it also, on the flip side, the more positive you are, the less you spend time being anxious or having negative thoughts or being fear. And so in the long run, it also builds this tremendous skill of resilience. And so what happens is we get into a positive place, and when you think positive thoughts, it starts to bring great chemicals into your body that allow you to think expansively and big about your life. It makes you feel optimistic, and then that gives you the energy to do the actions that you want to do, and you do the actions that bring in the results that you're looking for. And if you're in gratitude, you appreciate and really can feel the successes and meaningful things happening in your life. Taking time to reflect on them builds your appreciation and dream of more. And then you share it and you create even more dreams from there. And it puts you on this beautiful cycle upwards and spiraling in a beautiful way toward all the things that you want to have. So that's the reason why we want to do positivity in our lives. Any questions about that?
Okay, so at this point, I'm not seeing anything in the chat box or the question box, so it seems like they're all getting what you're saying.
Excellent. Okay, let's move on then.
All right.
So the interesting thing about the research is that, for years and decades, all of the work that was being done in psychology was on the negative things, anxiety and, different psychoses and disorders and depression, because we wanted to be able to help people get well. And then in the early 90s, Marty Seligman and other beginning positive psychologists said, well, why don't we start taking a look at all the people who are living well? and are happy and have confidence and are making their dreams come true, what are they doing that's different? And so they began to study all of the things that, well, what makes life work? What makes people happier? And so they did this for a number of years and did all kinds of scientific studies. And then in 2005, they did a mega study of all these studies that went back for 35 years. Can you put on the next stats there, Kathy? Where they took a look at 300 independent studies that had been done over the years. They looked at the studies had taken into account 275,000 people and 35 years of research. And when they looked at that and they saw the results, they found that what was really true, which was kind of a surprising twist of events, if you could put it in there, Kathy, what they found is that happiness and positive emotions actually preceded success more often than success produced those feelings. And then when life was going on in the 90s, neuroscience was becoming really more popular. They were getting more and more ability to look at the brain and analyze what was going on without having to go inside. They were getting the images and fMRIs. And all of the neuroscience began to substantiate all of these findings. And they looked at different areas of the brain, like the gyrus and all that, and just different areas that are related to peaceful and successful and positive emotions. And these areas of the brains were actually growing and getting bigger. And then they took that whole idea and they went back and looked at all of the philosophers and the ancient wisdoms and everything that was being found in positive psychology, substantiated in neuroscience, also matched the ancient philosophers and wisdoms of the world, and even the deeper, most meaningful religions. It all came into play. And so we were seeing that now we have actually the science of what happiness is. And then the coolest thing happened is that when we learned that the mind can actually train the brain. So we're going to take a look at the brain, first of all, on this next slide. And there's basically two parts to the brain. I know everybody knows it, but I'm going to gloss over it really quickly. There's your conscious brain, which is your conscious thinking. Is kind of the CEO of the brain. It's the thoughts that you can be aware of and the things that you're noticing and the most important sensual input that you're getting from that environment. And then we have very highly developed human frontal lobes as human beings. And what they've learned is that we can absolutely rewire our brain and think in different ways than we have in the past. And that's called neuroplasticity. And so the goal of becoming more positive, of positivity and coaching positivity, is that we can help them use their mind to train the brain to lead and focus with positivity and create the state of being that you need to move into all the goals and dreams that you have. And underneath the conscious brain is this great, big, massive unconscious brain. And this, if you could imagine it, it's like you're up on the top of an ice floe, and underneath you're pulling along this huge, great big unconscious brain, which is like the iceberg under there. And it's just a big storehouse of information, all the things that have happened to you, your memories. An example that can show you just how it is, if somebody said, do you know this song, do you know that song, you might remember them. But inside your body, you're remembering almost every song that you ever listened to. And then you'll hear in the radio, oh, I haven't thought of that song forever, but I remember it. And we have all kinds of memories deep in this unconscious mind. And in this unconscious mind also, we are absolutely wired for survival. And it's always looking out to make sure we're going to be okay. And underneath all of that is our embodied knowledge. And we used to think that we only had a brain in our head. But now neuroscience has found that we actually have a brain in our heart and we have a brain in our gut. And all of these brains have knowledge and they share information and they're always bringing information up to our conscious brain. The most bizarre thing about all of that is what is amazing is that really only 5% of information within us goes from our head down to our body. And 95% of information that's shared between our head brain and our body is coming up to the brain and giving our head brain information to work from. So we want to stay hard, we want to stay clear, we want to have all these positive things and go for our goals and do all that. And so what we do is we start to create habits, and we think we're going to do this and we do that, and we create these habits of being in the world. We get up in the same way, we review our goals, we go to work, we do our stuff, and we create habits of being and actions in the world, and those become hardwired into our brains. For example, most of us get up, we brush our teeth the same way, we have the same kind of coffee, we drive the same way to work, we work with the same people. And really, in the most amazing ways, all the things that we do all of the time become hardwired in our brain. And then once they're hardwired, they can move down and just be embodied knowledge. And they're the habits of being that we have. And probably 70% of the day we do almost without thinking about it. And so we create a highway of habits and beings and actions and feelings in our lives. And we have like our little own LA freeway in there that we use all of the time. And it drives our lives moment to moment. And so how do we change any of that? If we want to have change in ourselves or in our clients, we have to start to use the mind. And so we're going to take a look at the mind really quickly right now. And the mind is that whole flow of information that I was talking about through the information system. Our conscious mind is everything that's within our awareness, everything that our body is going to let us focus on. And the feelings that we have is happening in the current moment. And underneath that, again, is the subconscious mind, which is our big, vast storehouse of thoughts and feelings and memories and fears that are kind of outside of our awareness, but they're always affecting us. And so what we need to do with our mind is start to change some of the habits that shape our very days, 70% of them unconscious. And even if we change 1% of that, be more aware and shift 1% of it every single day, that's more than 300% difference in a year. And so we want to start using the mind to start adding little side roads and different habits and different things. But you know what's interesting about that is your brain doesn't want to do that. It wants to make everything routine. It wants to make everything automatic, because it wants to have all the energy it has to focus on keeping you safe and keeping you well and ensuring your survival. So what happens all the time fires together and wires together, and we create this whole system of who we are, and that's what we're bringing into every single day. And so what we need to do with our mind is consciously develop new ways of thinking, new ways of being, so that we can turn those into the habits that we truly want to be driving our days and unconscious. And then we can start creating the positive changes that really have the long-term benefits that we are looking for to help for ourselves and our clients. The biggest thing and why this is so difficult is because we are born also with this negativity bias. And I just want to talk about the negativity bias for just a moment. And I had to plug in my computer. Just running down the juice. Sorry. The negativity bias is our absolute, intrinsic, deeply wired, unstoppable desire to survive. And so deep within that is the ability to look for the things that might be threatening. And so what that means is your body is on an all-out sentry sitting on your shoulder to look for things that could possibly be threatening to you. And what that means is that it's really natural for us to focus on the one thing that went wrong in a day instead of enjoying the 10 things that have been really fun in the day. Or we might have something happen that feels threatening, and it isn't even happening right now. It could be something that happened in the past. It could be something that's going to happen in the future. It doesn't even have to be realistic. But if it's a thought that the brain perceives to be scary, it's going to all out react to that. And so we have to learn to kind of overcome this negativity bias. And then we have to overcome the brain's need to just not do anything new because it wants to save its energy. It doesn't want to waste energy on new habits. That's why sometimes it's really difficult to start new habits and stay with them long enough, just 66 days on average, to create a new habit to be unconscious for us. We want to stay with the comfortable. We want to stay with the familiar. And yet we have to overcome this negativity bias. And if we don't, then we start to have all these negative things like, oh, the naysayer, like, no, that's not going to work. That'll never happen. Let's focus on the negative of that. And just keep flipping down, Kathy, to E. That can be, and it's really emotionally draining to be in negativity. It causes a lot of grief in your life. It adds burdens to your life. Negative thinking can be a trap that can be really encircling. And as you think negative thoughts, you're pumping those negative hormones into your body. And what you think is how you feel, and how you feel makes you think. And it can immobilize you and create some voids in your life. And it becomes infectious. It starts to affect the people around you and your actions and what you're doing in your life. It's very toxic. And it actually just makes you feel totally yuck. It just is a terrible cycle to be in. But if it's a habit, that's where you are. And it takes work and energy and information and experience and dedication to habits to get out of it. So moving on to the research then, over the years, again and again and again, it's been proven that happiness actually creates success. And so going in and helping people develop a positive frame of mind and state of being is how we're actually going to be able to help people get to the places they want to go and we want to help them get to. Newberg and Waldman did a study where they found that even a single word has the power to change the expression of your genes and your stress and your state. If you think about a time when you had like a really good idea and you went running up to somebody with a really good idea and you said, let's do this and this is going to do that and we're going to do this. And they looked at you and they said, that's crazy. We're not going to do that. And if you just remember how that whole thing just shifted your whole feeling of your being, even one word can do that. We're very, very responsive instinctively to everything that's going on. And as life has gotten more busy and we've gotten more and more input from the internet and social media, we're getting bounced around in this all of the time. And if you don't have habits and strengths to fall back on, it's really easy to be bounced around in negativity. So this one I love, and Barbara Fredrickson is probably one of the leading positive psychologists. She has a beautiful formula about creating positivity in your life, the ratio, which says that for every negative emotion that you have to experience 3 to keep yourself in a positive line and a positive track during your day. But one of the things that she made really clear was that positivity in the early days of human beings is the place where, when we get into this place of positivity, that's where we have time, that's where we have energy, that's where we can create, it's where we get social, it's where we live our dreams, it's where we expand our thinking. And we need to create that time in our life where we're reflecting and we're dreaming and we're doing that and taking time for ourselves. And that's where we create the places and the visions that we can focus on and move forward to. We want to create new thoughts. We want them to create the feelings and the whole cybernetic loop so that we're doing the mind, body, feelings and making it all work together in a positive direction. We have even less time now, and we really need to create the time for ourselves and put that priority in place. So now we're going to look at a beautiful acronym of positivity. The first one is P, which is prepare. And prepare is for really preparing you for future you, preparing your clients to stay with and have the energy to create the dreams and actions and fulfill the goals that they set for themselves. So we want to prepare, and we want to have a focus on the outcome. We want to have a vision. Science has shown that if you have a vision and you've visited enough in your life, you just naturally start moving toward it to just close that cognitive dissonance between what you see yourself doing and where you are in life. So it's focusing on all the opportunities and not on the obstacles. Start is a great, science has shown that if you start your day with positivity and list things that you're grateful for, and at the end of the night, end your days with really going over your day and really enjoying the things that were good in your day, then you just set yourself up for a more positive frame of mind. And that can start your 1% trajectory really nicely. Just being grateful for 3 things in the morning and thinking of 3 great things in the day, which your mind has a tendency to go over because it wants to focus on the negative. Then it wants to just kind of take, oh, that was positive, that was positive, that was positive. It's not threatening. But really it is enjoying and bringing those back up and really appreciating the positive things in our life that help us stay on a nice, even keel. Inventory is just examining your life, examining your thoughts, your actions, your behaviors, and seeing, are they really positive? Are they really the ones that I want to keep, or do I want to shift those? T is for time, taking time to learn, taking time to reflect. Read that book, unplug from your devices, take a class, take that time for you and create new pathways in your brain so you can expand that LA freeway in your mind. I is for invest, investing your energy and prioritizing yourself and your growth so everything else follows in the right direction, being sure you're productive and not just busy. Value is to really value yourself enough to want to do this, to create a list of even what your values are and making positivity a high value in your life so that you can be moving and measuring what you're doing to your highest values so you know that your actions that you're doing during the day are leading you towards your goals. And insights are just noticing, just taking time to reflect. Notice how this habit is helping you do this. Noticing this success, noticing this closer relationship, whatever it is. But taking time to notice is really important. I'm a really big fan of Tally. One of the ways I really brought positivity into my life is I started a habit tracker. And habit tracker is when you just list the things that you want to have in your life and you just start checking off if you did it every day or if you didn't. And it's amazing how bringing your awareness and your focus into those things that you really want to create makes a difference. Tracking your progress is really important. You can notice and write down your victories, notice the things, the wins, the goals that you're making, and really taking time to do that. Pen on paper, actually studies have shown that really makes a difference because it's so easy to focus on the negative, and in that focusing on the negative, we really lose track of all the good things that happen in our day. And so I just encourage you to say yes, yes, yes. Because the most important thing about it all is it's really fun and it makes life much more fun to live and really enjoy. So I just want to stop for a moment now and see if anybody has any questions or comments or anything they would like to ask me at this point before we go on to talk a little bit more about how to develop positivity in your life and your practice and your coaching. Any questions?
So everyone, feel free, put them in the Q&A box, put them in the chat box. Let me know if you want to come on live and ask them. I do realize we're coming up on time very quickly. So of course, we'll pay attention to that and continue monitoring. At this point, Laura, you're good to keep going.
All right, then I'll just keep on going. So now moving into just a few of the elements of positivity, just to expand positivity as a concept. One of the most important things, in my opinion, creating those neurons and those new pathways in your own brain is to research positivity yourself. If you actually put positive psychology into the Google, you will have over 500,000, 500,000 hits that you can go to. So just expanding your awareness on just how solid and clear the research is really fantastic. The second thing I would really suggest is that you really understand how powerful the negativity bias is in your clients and in yourself so that you can really kind of outwit it and move around it and make sure that you are not letting this old ancient way of keeping us safe affect us on a day-to-day and minute-by-minute basis that it can in this age of information. The third one.
A great question just popped in. How are people staying positive during COVID? Because it's, even that greater tendency to negativity bias. Good question.
Yeah. And it is a great question, and one of the reasons why this is really important now. And one of the biggest principles of positivity is really taking a look at historically over time how we have looked to the outside and to all of the outside things around us to make us happy. You know, the big car, the big house, the degree, all of that stuff. And when you really stop to think about the things that make us happy, it is so much more personal and within than any of that. And so getting lost in your head, getting lost in your thoughts, getting lost in your fears, and really giving into that negativity bias is where we create most of the trouble for ourselves. And so taking time in this time where things are so difficult, and all of the things that we've counted on to make us happy, and the activities that have taken us out of our place in our thinking, where we're engaged with people and doing the things that we love, there's just more and more time to get lost in your head. And there's never been a more powerful time now to just be doing the ancient practices like mindfulness and meditation and focusing on our breath and being in the moment and noticing the things, the little things that are making us happy, and just taking time to get out of those swirling thoughts to keep yourself grounded. When you're up in those swirling thoughts and those fears and worried about it, and the hardest part about it, getting out of it, is that it's just so rooted in truth and those fears are real. But staying up in there takes us out of that place of centeredness. It takes us out of that place of the chemicals and everything that allow us to do all of the things that will help us move out of our fears. Because when you're in total anxiety or when you're totally afraid, you've got all the adrenaline and chemicals moving that have drained all of the best thinking out of your head. Your heart is racing, your breathing is up in your chest, your body is racing so that you can fight or flight. And when you're in all of those places, it's really difficult to think expansively or to think with solutions. And some of us, this has taken us to the other side of the fight or flight, which is freeze. And in that place, you just get more and more withdrawn and more less inclined to go out of yourself or out of your space. And so in either side of that reaction to the fears and the stress of the pandemic, we're not at our best self. We're not in a place where we can really access good steps for ourselves or have good thoughts. And so it's about finding time to really get present, notice the good things around you, take time to breathe, and really get centered so you can make better plans for yourself and see the good in what is going on, and then make plans and set goals to get well and to make steps toward being well in this time. I don't have a complete answer for that. I mean, I'm struggling with some of those things too. But I hope that answered your question enough, so I can move on a little bit. Kathy, you think I should?
Yeah, I mean, certainly we're over time, and at the same time, that question seems to be answered in a big way with what you're sharing in terms of developing that positivity. So I've got all 12 of these points up here for you.
Yeah. So yes, so when you take the time to develop that positivity, that's building that resilience. It's building that ability to have these strengths. Most of us wait, until there's like a catastrophic event. This is a big one. Or, sometimes it's a death in the family or a breakup of a relationship or encountering a health problem. Then we start to examine all of our values and feelings. And this is about getting clear in advance, getting clear in a joyful place so that we can make that growth happen and create that landing base and that groundwork for being positive even in the negative places. And so moving into number 4, just using positive language. Instead of saying I can't, you can say I will. I'm learning that positive language and feeling it deeply and being authentic with your language, being confident in your process, being confident in, I can't tell you how important it is to just research positivity so you can really believe in it and make the steps for yourself and your clients. It'll help you coach effectively. It'll help you be really, truly supportive to your clients and yourself. Learning how to take their negative situations and help them reframe them so that they can find energy and positives to move toward them. Teaching positivity absolutely empowers proactivity because it allows you to move from a space that in all areas of your being and your nervous system and everything allows you to create expansive goals for yourself. And then helping them to notice and create good goals, little steps to move toward that, and qualitative results, looking around to see how their life is getting better from adopting positivity in their life is really, all of these are all results of positivity that can happen. So the how-to of positivity. One of the biggest things about positivity is to really be clear about why you would want to have positivity in your life. One of the most important reasons is because a lot of the habits and the patterns of behavior that we have are really not particularly positive. They've just become comfortable and they feel like us. But using the mind to change the brain and changing the unconscious brain and making new habits positive and easy is what's going to help us become more positive ourselves. So creating new habits takes a little bit of time. It takes energy. Your brain is going to fight it for a little while. You're going to kind of go, I don't know if this is really working. But after 66 to 90 days, if it's a bigger pattern, those become unconscious. And then we slowly, with self-awareness and shifting with new habits, we change the direction and the trajectory of our future. So you have to research a little bit, create an action plan, source out the tools that you want to use. You have to be consistent with it. You have to practice positive language and then adjust and see how it feels and create new things. And always be mindful that we want to stay in this one system of highways and patterns and behaviors that we have, but we always want to be changing it. Otherwise, we're doing that same thing where, we're doing the same things every day, expecting a different result, which doesn't happen. We have to be expanding it all the time. So adjusting it, repeating it, bringing in something new, implement it, evaluate it, adjust it, move on, and just stay on a cycle of growth and creating those positive, consistent habits so they become our fallback place. So really, in a sense, if you really look at it, if coaching is about creating meaningful change, positivity is actually almost a responsibility for us. And it's almost like a coaching thing. We want to coach toward the goals and what they want for success, but we have to be creating the person that's going to be able to do those things and stay with it on a consistent and meaningful basis so that they can achieve those. And then those goals circle around and we begin that whole beautiful cycle again. The research shows that being successful doesn't always make you happier, but being happier has always shown to make people more successful. This is that beautiful cycle, and it's like drawing in exactly what you're feeling. And so creating a vision is really important because the way we choose to see the world creates the world that we see. And so people who have had vision, Mahatma Gandhi, those people, they had a vision of the world, and they just had this vision that they were working toward all the time. And if you have a vision that you really want to get to, we just start making unconscious choices and noticing different things that we wouldn't otherwise if we didn't have that grand goal out there. And Marty Seligman, who is kind of the father of positivity, he said one of the most significant findings in psychology in the last 20 years is that individuals can choose the way you think. Even if you have a pattern of thought, if you notice that it isn't really serving you, you can change it. We can help clients change the way they think, get more positive, change their focus. If you can conceive it, you can achieve it. But it's starting to that growth from the inside out and building the habits and building the biology and the neurophysiology and the entire nervous system that is going to move forward with positivity and just see your world differently, react to the world differently, and create your world differently. So applications, it's got to become a priority for you. You've got to examine your own priorities in that, help your clients examine their priorities, and help them prioritize this personal positive growth. And ask them, where is their focus and where do they want their focus to be? finding out the strategies that work well for you, the strategies that work well for them. Some of my strategies are that I wake up every morning and make my coffee. And my first cup of coffee, I just sit and I think and I feel. And I get messages from my body. I'll just go, I really need to do that. And I'll write it down. Or that happened yesterday. I really need to do this about that. And just taking time to reflect, which we don't often do. I do deep breathing every morning. I was really, really skeptical about that. So I got my biofeedback machine and then I just record. I actually watch my heart rate and I watch my body get into balance on my biofeedback machine. I do a gratitude journal every morning. I make one big intention for the day. It could be, today I'm going to make every one of my clients feel like they're the most special person on life, or today I'm going to exercise to make my body feel better, setting an intention so you're not always just being in response to your world, you're being more proactive in your world. And then I get going on my day with a healthy breakfast. So finding the strategies that work for you, strategies that work for your clients, taking the action steps to make them happen, knowing that the action is going to take some time. You're talking your brain out of negativity. It doesn't want to do this, but you're going to do it anyway, because after a little while, it just becomes one of those beautiful unconscious habits. And when you do it again and again and again, the brain goes, oh, that must be important. And then it myelinates it and makes it a really powerful strategy in your brain and a pathway that it's going to do. And that's exactly what happens when we out with the old ones, is we have this powerful pathway that we thought, we're doing the new one again and again and again and again until finally this one becomes one that we're going to do. The brain goes, let's make that one more powerful and the other one withers away. It really is a use it or lose it. And then just continue on your education. And one of the things that you could do, if this is interesting for you, is I would love to invite you to my Science of Positivity class that I'm starting in about a month. It starts on September 15th. It's 6 90-minute classes on Tuesdays. The times are up there. 12 hours of ICF units. We talk about all of these. We really get into some hands-on strategies for you and for your clients, and a little bit of homework. I ask you to do some research, come with an open mind, and create some positivity that can really change and transform your life. It really has mine. So now just move into, have a few minutes for.
Yep, a question came in. It says, we've heard about controlling our own negative thoughts. It's important to know how to deal with negative people who come in our space. So I guess that's more a comment than a question. What do you want to say in response to that comment?
Well, what I can tell you is that positive emotions, so our heart is an electrical organ, and it pushes out an electromagnetic field. It goes out 6 to 9 feet in a pretty powerful way, and it goes on from there. And so when you're in a positive state of mind, what's really interesting about the positive emotions is that they push out much more energy than does negative energy. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but when somebody negative comes into the room and comes near you, can almost feel them and you can feel yourself going away. So what's really interesting about positive energy is that it has the ability to do this thing called entrainment. And what entrainment is that you push out your energy and it will slowly affect the people around you. And it also protects you from being really directly influenced by other people's negative energy. And so my answer to that is that if somebody negative comes into your space, just turn on your positivity, and the electromagnetic energy that you create from that will do a little bit of protection, and it'll do a little bit of changing, and you might be able to change that other person just by staying centered and grounded in your own positive emotions.
Yeah, it's like a shield. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. In a way, it's a real shield. And in many ways, it's one of the things that's helped me be okay myself in this pandemic is because I just, just really just stay in my centered positive emotions. And that can't happen all the time. Believe me, I've had my weeks and my moments And sometimes it's hard not to, be affected by all of the hardship and harm that's going on. But really, in the end, the best way that we can be and the best help that we can be is to be that positive energy that's even affecting people around us. Even if we're not even doing anything, we're adding to the positivity of the world.
Oh. It makes me think too, as coaches, for those who did the certified professional coach class, the affirmation story that we do becomes a huge tool to support clients in developing their own habit of positivity. Um, Using mine, it truly makes a difference. And I really notice for people, the ones that are positive, how effectively they do move forward toward their goals.
Yeah, there's a really interesting thing that neuroscience actually has proven. And what they have proven is that if you, even if it's not happening, you aren't in it, you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it, you can't do that. But if you read your positive affirmation story again and again and again, we have these amazing things in our brain called mirror neurons. And they start creating the infrastructure. They start creating all the neuron pathways that you need to get to that story even before it happens. It's like a preset. So even if you aren't making that income, even if you don't have that house, even if you don't have that partner, if you read it again and again and again, you start to create the neurophysiology for all of those things to happen. And then as those things start happening, it just creates more and more and more. And those pathways move faster and are created quicker just by reading your affirmation story again and again and creating that vision. Your body wants to close that cognitive dissonance. It doesn't want a difference between what you're thinking and what you're doing. We create our lives, and it's so powerful, the affirmation story. Thank you for bringing that up. That's an awesome point, Kathy. I think it's one of the best tools you teach. Fantastic.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm guessing everybody's familiar with our website. On the website, under training under the CCEs, is the overview of the program Laura's talking about. Do check it out. Love to have you join it. She does an amazing job with it. I attended it last time. So we are here to support you. Let us know what else we can do to be helpful. I'm happy to hang around for a few more minutes if there are additional questions. At this point, Laura, I think we're complete. And so I'm just hoping somebody's going to put in another great question or come on live with a question or whatever they want. All right. And at this point, I'm getting the thank yous. So it seems like people enjoyed it. Glad it was helpful for you. So noticing that in the chat box. So it seems like we are complete. Laura, thank you so much for today's information.
Kathy, thank you for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure. And I love teaching this topic. And I really hope you'll come to the class. Hope to see you there.
Awesome. Take care, everyone, and have a fabulous weekend.